Hey guys, it's Beatdown, back at again with another Thera song overview, so I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's get started, shall we? So real quickly, this is probably the first Thera song video that is specific to my channel. This is not going to go up on the Thera channel because this is more my build compared to like a build that's supposed to go out for everyone. If you play Thera and you want to go ahead and try this build out, by all means go ahead. I'm just making that point clear to where if you watch the Thera channel and you're wondering why this video is not up on that channel, it's because this video is exclusive for mine. Anyways, let's go ahead and start, shall we? Because this song was one that I built, I want to say it was 2 months ago on stream, where I was trying to get people to play Thera, which did not work out properly, but I at least built 2 songs in like 30 minutes, and that was this song and an Angel song, which I would probably never do a song profile on. But this song is called Crimson Level 1 Rush, or as I literally called it on stream, Crimson Level 1 Beatdown, where pretty much you take as many level 1s as you possibly can, shove them into a song, and then you try to beat the opponent down with them as fast as possible, and then you combo with a very specific level 2 who is not good in otherwise specific situations. So let's go into the start, shall we, and see what we got. This is not a competitive song in any way, shape, or form, but it's fun to at least play with. So first up, we have Crimson Dragon Rider, the ace of our song, and the literal reason why I made the song. In fact, I remember the reason why I made the song on stream was because, you know what, I wanted to play with Crimson Dragon Rider, but I knew even if I put him in my songs, I would never actually play him unless I had no other choice. So I built a song specifically to use him, and it kind of works. So he's level 2 with a gift icon. He has 1 damage, 100 power, and during your turn, while this creature's on your field, all other Crimson creatures on your board get plus 50 power, which all around is pretty solid. You know, a lot of the Crimson creatures right now are level 1s with either 50 power or 100. Crimson Dragon Rider is the only one that's a level 2, and he also only has 100 power. So being able to basically make everyone else on your board either a 150 or like the normal base power of 100 is great, since, you know, that allows you to add a little bit more pressure to a song that is majority level 1s. In fact, there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 level 1s in the song, 5 of which are targetable via rider skill, 4 of which are targetable via rider skill, so are pretty solid, but also in the fact of his ability stacks. So if you have a second rider on the board, every Crimson creature on your field gets 100 power, except for the 2 riders, because they can't affect themselves. However, they can affect each other, meaning both riders will have 150 and everyone else on your board got at least plus 100, which is all around pretty solid. It adds a little bit of aggressive power to this otherwise kind of stale-ish level 2, but if you play your moves right and basically you spam the board with a bunch of level 1s, protect the hell out of them, and then play Crimson Dragon Rider on top of them, you'll essentially just get a lot more numbers and then slowly push your opponent for game. We had testing matches with this song actually, and I wish I had recorded them if I knew this song was going to perform as well as it did, but pretty much what happened was I rushed with a bunch of level 1s in one game and I won because the opponent couldn't keep up. The other games I played Rider early with a level 1 and then I kept just playing more Riders until they eventually just couldn't outpower them, and pretty much it was just a combination of me knowing when to time my rush, but also me just like outright rushing someone. So our Rider is a very solid level 2 when you built the song around him. Otherwise he's kind of like 50-50, but he's a nice 4 in this song since, you know, the whole point is based off him. Then we have Hammer Dragon. Okay, in any Arezon song in set 1, you are near insane if you're not running Hammer Dragon at least at 3 copies, but here we're gonna run him at a 4 because we kind of need him. So he's a level 2 with a gift icon, 150 power, so at least he doesn't need the buff from Rider, and then with 2 different abilities. Depending on this creature gets plus 50 power until the end of the turn, and then when this creature destroys an opponent's creature or deals damage to your opponent, you get to draw a card. All around pretty solid because that pay 1 ability to help increase his own power is not once per turn, meaning as long as you have pay, you can, aka just face out damage in case you are new to Thera and this is your first Thera video you're watching, you can quickly increase your power a lot to either proc off Hammer Dragon's ability a little bit more consistently since your opponent won't be able to guard him, or you're just pumping him up so you can use Heart of the Dragon, which either or works. Either way though, Hammer Dragon is very solid, adding more power to himself, increasing the chance of his on-hit ability going off. Also his on-hit ability actually being able to increase your hand cards in a song that's very aggressive, meaning you need hand cards to kind of, I don't know, function with the lack of defense you're about to throw down onto the board. So 4 of Hammer Dragon, very solid level 2. Once he hits the board, you want to keep him alive as much as possible to net you as much late game advantage as you can. Not to mention the fact that he combos really well with one of our later spells, which we will go over soon, but for now, he's a 4 for just very obvious reasons. Then we have our Safeguard, Young Guard Dracokid. It's our first level 1. So Safeguards, you can only have 4 Safeguards in your song, and it has the standard ability. You can discard it when your opponent's creature attacks to nullify the attack. It's a very powerful level 1. It just gets rid of like big attackers all around. If you're playing a mirror match and your opponent like just jumps up Hammer Dragon with all of their pay, let's say they have 8 pay and they use all of it on Hammer, which gives them a grand total of 400 to 550. You just want to Young Guard yourself so you're safe. It's very solid. Again, this song relies heavily on the level 1 rush, and since level 1s typically have a lot of low base power, this being able to stop your opponent's big attacks is great. But also in case they come after your Rider or Hammer Dragon, who are very integral to your late game, just like overall game plan in general, Young Guard's a very nice card to have. So he's a nice welcomed 4 in the song because we need some defensive power to, you know, mitigate the amounts of aggro we're about to throw out onto the board. Then we have Crimson Dracokid, who is also a level 1. Actually, I'm not going to say level 1s anymore. The rest of these creatures are all level 1. He has 100 power, 1 damage. He is a Crimson creature, so you know that's helpful for Rider's ability over here. And then by paying 1, we just show you this creature. You can and then choose a creature with Crimson's card name on your board. And for this turn, it can deal 2 damage instead of 1. So that's important for the sense of, let's say, for example, you have another Crimson Dracokid on the board. Let's say you have 3 Crimson Dragon Riders on the board to support him, meaning he's at 250 power. And then you play Rage of the Dragon on that Crimson Dracokid, who you just gave the ability to deal 2 damage. That means that if that Crimson Dracokid with 250 power hits anything, it's gonna deal 2 damage. Meaning if it hits a full board, aka 5 creatures, and your opponent doesn't guard for some reason, that's 10 damage lethal. Is that play possible in this song? Yes. Is it going to happen often? Hell no. No one in their right mind is gonna let you build up a board of 3 Crimson Dragon Riders, let alone let you build up double Crimson Dracokid to do this play. The second they see any of that happen, they're immediately gonna shut you down, but especially if they know Rage of the Dragon is coming. But either way, though, Crimson Dracokid's a nice level 1 to have because A, that possibility is an occurrence that you could do, and against like other aggro songs, say for example Angels, where they also have low base power, you don't have to pump up Crimson Dracokid too much with Rider to be able to hit the Rage of the Dragon threshold. You can just hit it with like 1 or 2 Riders and you're good. But also in the sense of Crimson Dracokid is just a nice solid level 1 to throw down because worst case scenario, he is a vanilla, but he's a vanilla with the Crimson name, which means he can be procced off by Rider skill and be a 150 level 1, or again just early game rush with a 100 base power. Either way, Crimson Dracokid makes for a solid level 1, whether using his skill to deal a bunch of damage in one go, or you're just using him as a small beater. He works really well, so he's a 4-of. Then we have 4 copies of Dracokid of the Flaming Fist. So 100 base power, 1 damage. It's not a Crimson creature. However, it has an inherent quote-unquote Rider ability built into it because when it attacks into anything, it gets plus 50 power for the turn. So it's a 150 level 1. If you find a way to restand, it'll become 200 because of power stacks for the turn. But it's free. There's no cost to it. You don't have to discard 1. You don't have to pay 1. You don't have to attack into a creature for it or specifically attack directly. It's just a free 150 swing into anything. Again, it's not getting buffed by Rider because it doesn't have Crimson in the name, but it's still going to have the 150 base power that technically speaking Crimson Dracokid will have anyways if you did have a Rider on board. So it's a nice card to basically flood the field with, and definitely a nice card to like early game rush your opponent because since Rider's level 2 and you can only summon a max level 3 for the turn, you summoning Rider and Crimson Dracokid means you only get 2 creatures compared to summoning like double Flaming Fist and Crimson Dracokid, where in that case you have 3 creatures, 2 of which have 150 power. All of which, like Flaming Fist is a solid level 1. Like Crimson Dracokid, they are both easy flood targets. You kind of early game rush with them if you want to, but at the same time, they're just good for getting rid of your opponent's decently powered creatures and just flooding the field, so 4-of. Then we have 4 copies of Crimson Armor. Okay, any song that is like heavily based around the Crimson archetype, or like ace creature is Crimson or has Crimson in its card name, you are insane not to run any number of Crimson Armors that isn't 0. So 50 power, 1 damage, so it's one of the weaker level ones, but discard this card from your hand during either player's turn. When your Crimson creature in its card name attacks or is attacked, you may have that creature get plus 50 power until the end of the turn. 50 power does not sound like a lot because it's just basically this card is defending that creature, except the difference is because it's not technically guarding, if the powers are mutual, both creatures will be destroyed compared to the attack just being stopped. Or If your power becomes greater than the opponent's attacking creature, the opponent's attacking creature, assuming you pull this on your opponent's turn, is destroyed. Or, if you're the one attacking and your opponent guards, and they guard for exactly even at the moment before you use Crimson Dracokid, or Crimson Armor, you can discard armor, make your power higher than their guard power, and then you break through. Armor is an incredible level 1 because it acts as a sort of like hand trap. I mean, yeah, all traps activate from hand in this game, but like it acts as a pseudo trap because of how its ability works. It's a crimson creature, so if you do end up playing it to board, I mean, you want to keep these in hand as much as possible, but if you do end up playing it to board, it does get buffed from Rider. And again, regardless if you're the one attacking or if you're the one being attacked, if your opponent doesn't play around armor, they're just gonna lose their creature in the process. And that's a really great thing to do. Like, I have seen many games, not just this song, but other songs too, where my opponent just won't attack because they either know I have an armor in hand or they think I have an armor in hand, and they know if they attack, they're gonna lose a creature that's integral to their game plan. Armor is like mind game galore. I love running this card. I love abusing the hell out of it. It's an easy 4-up, and his ability does stack, and you can use multiple armors in the same session. So say, for example, when you're attacking or defending, if you need 2 armors to hit the threshold you want, you can just ditch them both at the same time if you have 2 in hand. Amazing level 1, easy 4-up. You're insane not to have this. Then we have Crimson Sword. It has 100 power. It's also 1 damage. It's the only creature we have in our song that literally cannot attack. But by resting it, when your other Crimson creature attacks, add this creature's power to the attacking creature's power for the battle. Okay, it says over here doubles the power of the Crimson creature. Technically, that's not true, but like 95% of the time it is. Like, if you buff this with Rider, it's at getting at 150, and then if Rider swings, you can rest Sword to bring Rider to 250, because, you know, his Rider's 100, plus this card's now inherent 150 power, so that's technically not doubling. But like, if you combine this with any other level 1 while Rider's on board, it's like, say, for example, Crimson Dracokid, who's at 150 thanks to Rider's buff, plus Crimson Sword's 150, again, thanks to Rider's buff, that's a total of 300. So, while it can't attack, it does increase the power of your other cards to the point where they hit the threshold of at least using Heart of the Dragon to draw a card, because Heart of the Dragon's timing would proc off that way. But also in the sense of it allows all of your creatures to hit the threshold of level 3s. So, you know, you can combine Crimson Sword with Crimson Dracokid, attack into Crimson Dragon Revan, who has 200 base power. Therefore, they're even. So if your opponent doesn't do anything in response, they destroy each other, or you just Crimson Armor. Or, you know, if you have Crimson Dragon Rider on the board and combine this with literally any of your level 1s that proc off from Crimson Dragon Rider, automatically your level 1s have at least 300 power combined, which means they hit over the joint strongest creatures in the game, Ruinmaker Droid and Michael's Heaven's Advent. Crimson Sword is all around a very solid level 1. While yes, the cannot attack ability definitely slows it down and makes it a little bit harder to use, its ability to give other creatures power is definitely really appreciated, again, in a song where you just basically flood the field with a bunch of level 1, so 4 up here. Then we have 2 copies of Crimson Striker, our last level 1 actually, and our last creature in the song. So it has 50 power, so again, one of the weaker ones, 1 damage. Discard this card from your hand. When your creature with Crimson has card name destroys an opponent's creature by battle or card effects, destroy a card in your opponent's field. Okay, this card, again, hand trap. Like how your opponent can't necessarily know if armor's in your hand or not, or if they do, you're gonna mind game the hell out of them. They don't know if you have Striker in hand. And Striker is one of the unique cards right now, because as of the time of this video, July 13th, 9:32 a.m., I know what cards are in set 1 and further beyond that, but no one else does outside of, you know, the main Thera group. No one knows if there are other cards that can destroy runes. Striker is, to public knowledge, the only card at this time that can destroy runes, which is very powerful when one of the strongest runes in the game is Spirit's Blessing. Spirit's Blessing for Sauron is a very powerful rune that essentially gives all their stuff plus 50 power every time they special summon. And a song that can just keep spamming special summons out the wazoo, that's pretty good. So Striker being able to pop that out of nowhere is great, but also just being able to destroy any extra card in the opponent's field, so technically 1 attack takes care of 2 cards in 1 go, is amazing. You don't want to have this card at more than 2 of, because again, the 50 power really hurts you unless you have Rider on board, and you still need 2 Riders to make this thing 150, but it has that nice pressure attachment attached to it, so it's a nice 2 of tech. Also, because just when your creature destroys it by battle, doesn't matter whose turn it is, your opponent attacks into Crimson Dracokid, you play armor, they lose their creature, you strike or another creature or their rune. Just saying, double hand trap right here, baby. They work together in tandem. 2 of. Then we move on to our spells. So first up, we have 2 copies of Dragon Wings. Okay, this is my all-time favorite spell, or one of my all-time favorite spells. So by ditching a card from your hand, you draw 2 cards. It works even if you have 0 cards, because technically speaking, that discard card is not a cost. As you kind of see with the other cards, the the cost of an ability is separated by a semicolon. But as you can see here, no semicolons. Basically meaning that Dragon Wings is play it, you then discard a card, so then you draw 2. So there's no like additional attached cost to that, meaning even if you have no cards in your hand, you can just play it because the discard card is part of the effect, so you can just draw 2 cards. It filters out of hand because, again, you're going to want to see as many level 1s as possible, as fast as possible, to rush out your opponent. So say, for example, you just have like an excess of triggers, well, because, you know, you're trying to beat the opponent as fast as possible, you just play Dragon Wings, empty out your hand, or like get rid of the triggers, draw 2 cards, play creatures, and then just try to attack your opponent. All around, Dragon Wings is solid. You don't want to have too many of them because you definitely want to focus on just rushing your opponent down with as many like creatures as possible. That's why the song has like one of my highest creature ratios, because typically my creature ratios, unless like it's a very specific song, doesn't go past 23. So this song having 30 flat is like, you know, kind of out of my normal area. Either way, though, 2 of Dragon Wings for, you know, the filtering, but it's good to have. Then we have 2 copies of Rage of the Dragon, a very powerful spell that activates by paying 3 to choose one of your dragon creatures, which is pretty much the vast majority of the song. The only non-target in the song that would be applicable for this is Crimson Dragon Rider. But anyways, you pick a dragon, and for this turn, you can attack all creatures on your opponent's field in one go. Basically, since I'm saying this as my Vanity Ezel channel, I can basically talk to my viewers that play Vanguard like this. Think of Vermilion from Vanguard, how Vermilion basically can target multiple units at once, and your opponent has to guard all of them individually. It's like that. And it's not like, you know, the PGs where it's not like safeguards can nullify the whole attack because they're all considered separate attacks. Therefore, meaning if you were to safeguard a Rage of the Dragon attack, you only block one of the targets, not all of them, which is honestly pretty solid for, you know, board wipe. Again, if you set it up properly with either Crimson Dragon Rider plus, like, I don't know, Crimson Dracokid's effect, or, you know, you just use Hammer Dragon, buff him up, and then swing, and every time he hits, you get to draw a card, which is pretty solid. And again, it either board wipes, so against other aggro songs such as Angels or the Mirror Match here, you can just, you know, get rid of their board, and because they aggro, they probably have little defensive power. Or if they want to keep their cards, they have to force out a lot of guard power to stop you, because you're playing Arezon, you probably have a good amount of power to make more cards come out of their hand. You can pressure on hit abilities more consistently, such as Hammer Dragon's draw effect and not Crimson Armor, I don't know why I put Crimson Armor here, but Crimson Striker's, you know, bop a card effect. So all around, Rage of the Dragon is a very powerful spell. You don't want to see it too often because taking up 3 pay is kind of hefty, especially because you want to use all of your pay pretty much on either this or this. But if you have to pay for and you have your main target, which in this case is Hammer Dragon, then yeah, you can afford to use Rage of the Dragon, but I don't like to have it more than a 2 of here. Then we have 2 copies of Flame Crash. One of the traps that when I originally made it, I did not think was that good. Then we had like 1 or 2 testing matches with it, and then I saw the potential, and then I never got to play it the way I wanted to. But let's just say this now, and if I remember when I'm done with like describing its effect, I'll go over the play. But we have 2 copies of it for a reason. It's pay 4 for it, and when your creature is destroyed by battle, during either player's turn, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, destroy creatures on your opponent's field equal to the level of the destroyed creature. If a level 3 was destroyed, destroy 3 creatures. Now, you know, because there's no level 3s in this song, the most you're going to get is level 2s, but this is a nice way to come back. Say, for example, your opponent killed your Hammer Dragon. You can bop 2 creatures on their field, slow down their attacks, or get rid of the creature that actually was able to hit over Hammer Dragon in case it was too powerful for your other cards. If Rider was destroyed, you know, come back from that. And even if, like, you lose a level 1, ideally you want to use this on a level 2, but if you have to use it on a level 1, you either hit the thing that's either going to make you lose the game, or you're going to hit the thing that killed the level 1 because it probably has enough power to kill everything else on your board. So, 2 of Flame Crash for that reason. It's a very powerful counter. It destroys a lot of creatures in one go, but it has a high cost to it. So again, this is why you don't want to use Rage of the Dragon too often. But the play I was talking about that involved me saying the wink, wink, nudge, nudge to like during either player's turn is because traps in this game can be used during either player's turn as long as their conditions are met unless specified. Flame Crash, a neat little play you can do, which I learned while training for my match against Oolong when I was using competitive Arezon, as we call it, or like, I think it's called Scorching Skies, I think is the official song name of like Dragons plus Gamble against Michael, was that you can swing your creature into an opponent's creature that is stronger than yours, for example, a Rage of the Dragon buffed up Revan, and then if your opponent takes the attack, and your creature does go down, you can use Flame Crash after you take the damage, because in this game you get the damage and then you can use the trap, so therefore you get a little bit of pay addition to that. But then you use Flame Crash to destroy the creature that destroyed yours. And if you kamikaze something like Revan, who was level 3, you destroy 3 creatures at once. In this song, obviously you can't do that because you don't have level 3s, but if you want to just kamikaze your rider because you have a bunch of level 1s on board and the rider is going to force your opponent to either guard or just like straight up take it because you know the rider is the most integral part to your game plan, then you play Flame Crash, then you nuke their board, they can't do anything. 2-up Flame Crash, it's just a very solid trap. Like, if you play it right, you can screw over your opponent on both the offense and the defense, and it's just a really good card to have. So 2-up, again, hefty cost, but nice. I have 2 copies of Heart of the Dragon, so it's a free rune to set and maintain. You draw cards in the stacks because you can have multiple on the board, because when your creature 300 or more power attacks, you get to draw a card. All around, pretty solid. You're only gonna have 2 of here because, as we've seen with like how Oolong plays and just how like Heart of the Dragon is in general, because you cannot get rid of it since it has no maintenance cost. Basically, once your power threshold always hits 300, if you get to the point where you could song out, because that's a mandatory draw effect, you have to stop increasing your power to 300. And since you want to get as much power as physically possible, you know, to rush down your opponent with all these level 1s, suddenly, that's kind of a detriment. So we run 2 copies of it so you don't song yourself out too quickly, but we still want to use its ability to help increase our hand cards so we can, you know, build up for like one big mid-game rush with all of our level 1s, so 2-up. Then we have 2 copies of Strength of Arezon, so it's pretty much a board spamming version of Hammer Dragon. It's also free to set and maintain. There's no maintenance cost to it whatsoever, so unless your opponent's also playing a copy of Crimson Striker or one of the few other cards that can blow up runes, pretty much this card's staying on the board the second it hits it. By paying 1, you can give all your creatures plus 50 power for the turn. You can use as much as you want during your turn. As long as you have pay, you can keep doing it. So it's like Hammer Dragon's regular ability, like I said, but gives it to everyone. So if you have a bunch of level 1s on your board and you don't particularly have Rider, that's completely fine, because again, you just increase your power as much as you need to and want to. And again, this is where the vast majority of your pay goes. The only other cards that eat up pay that you want to use consistently is either Flame Crash or Hammer Dragon himself. So 2 of Strength of Arezon, you don't want to see it too often because again, you want to focus heavily on those level 1s. But if you do end up drawing into this, automatically set on the board, you got border pressure for the rest of the game, because the more pay your opponent gives you, the more power you're going to knock back at them with your level 1 rush. So 2 of. Then we have our triggers. So we run 5 damage triggers. You know, they have low shield value, which does hurt you in a song that pretty much throws all of your shield value onto the board in 5 seconds. But they do bop damage to your opponent. And when you're constantly throwing hands with them, at some point, if they get to 8 or 9 damage, they are immediately in the death area, because hitting damage triggers is essentially game for them. I have been in so many games where I will have all damage triggers still in song, and my opponent will be at 8 damage or even 9 damage, and I'll pretty much just in the sense of they have to attack me and pray that I guard, because if I don't guard and I take damages, I could still see damage triggers, and they have to try to see heal triggers, or, you know, basically try to stall out via nullify or damage nullifiers. So 5 damage triggers, you know, to add to that little bit of aggro in case the level 1s aren't enough to do it. I mean, that's how I got past Michael. I used up all of my firepower too early. I got hit back by a bunch of Michaels and Azraels, and then I just kept damage triggering, and I just won the game off that because they were already at 8 by the time they started counterattacking me. So 5 damage triggers, very nice for pressure, good to have here. Then we have 2 draw triggers, so they have decent shield value. So against anything that isn't Michael or Rune Maker, you're typically going to be able to stop an opponent's incoming attack. They do help increase your hand power. I don't know why this says 2. It's actually 3 draw triggers, but you know, it's a way to help increase your hand cards. It's a way to allow you to guard a little bit more. And again, because you are trying to hit for very specific pieces for your song to be at its best, aka Crimson Dragon Rider, this card is nice to have. So we like to have it as 3 for, you know, engine reasons. And then we have 2 heal triggers. Okay, they have high shield value 95% of the time, unless they're attacking into Crimson Striker or Crimson Armor and you don't have a Crimson Armor in hand, the heal trigger stopping the attack outright unless your opponent has increased their power beyond the normal base power. But also, this card recovers damage, and most of the time, if you lose out your board or you're being aggroed back, you're probably not gonna win. But in the off chance where the game is really even, the heal trigger is able to get your damage back a little bit behind, so you're not immediately losing to your board being wiped. So heal triggers are nice to have for both like the defensive reason of shield value, but also the recovery factor as well, just in case you do need it. So it's nice for the two, but again, we mostly focus on our offensive triggers. Without further ado, that's it for the song review. I hope you all enjoyed. I meant for this video to be 16 minutes long. I know with even editing, this is still going to be within the 20-minute range. How it's probably going to still be 24 minutes long. But either way, though, I'm going to end this one here. I hope you all enjoyed. This song is genuinely really fun to play. I built this as a bit. I didn't think it would actually work, but the win record for the record of this song, we played 4 matches against all the ones that I said we had on video, and those matches, 3 of them ended in victories, 1 of them ended in a loss. It beat, I forgot which one it lost to. I just know it beat Michael, but I forgot which of the 3 Arezon songs I lost to, but it won against the other 2. Anyway, though, that's it for this one. I hope you all enjoyed. This song is very fun to play. In the right hands, it's good. Powerful is a strong word, but it's definitely a hell of a song to use. So I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Thera channel, and I'll see you all in the next one. And don't forget to check us out.